Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet a dear friend. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet a dear friend.
Good evening and welcome back to the station. It is now Cancer season, so we're right on the edge of July. It's about to we're right there on the edge, and that's good. And so we're gonna do a reading here for July, and I've already got some runes out and some cards, and so as they say, let's get right into it. The runes that came out. Kktvr, Dorn, Witchcraft. So all of these runes are gateway, porthole, and multi-dimensional energies. Doors, gateways, crossings. Even Witchcraft is a spiritual crossing, and they're giving a double dimension. All of these runes, they're all pointing at double dimensionary, at a double dimensionary theme, which I have been picking up on lately. From what it seems like, there is a sort of they're okay. They're not gonna. If they start getting wild, then I'll pause the recording. There's a bone, so they all kind of take turns at the bone there. Yeah, I found them a nice bone. Yeah. And let's get back to the runes here. So, Kyok, the definition given is mortar and anchored. Mortar. So to be ground, so I'm feeling mort and pestle. That's a thing that people grind spices and things in, or salsas. Mort and pestle. It has like a bowl that's usually some kind of stone or wood that you can give pressure to. You can smash things inside of this. I'm getting that mort and pestle, which is is matching, and they're bookending with this Witchcraft, which is a kind of mort and pestle thing too. I'm getting craft in general doing the action, the like cooking making things by yourself, for yourself, which is a very good thing to do, which I've always thought people didn't do enough of, which I thought was imbalancing them. And I always encouraged people to make, to try to physically make as much as they could, even if they didn't feel like they had too much potential or talent. So we're now going into this GAR energy, which is spirit potential. Spirit and potential. So spirit would be something caught. And I'm really picking up on the X inside the Kialk and Gar. And Kialk and Gar is both the same symbol, but Kialk has a vertical line, like the letter I, without the dot. It's like a vertical line in the middle of it, demonstrating the stability, how it's that's where the anchored energy comes from, and spirit potential. So I'm getting this feeling like Gar came before Kialk, or was a step. It's a progressed step. So the progressed step is now going back to getting the potential. So this is giving a lot of inspired energy. It's also pointing to change and a kind of lightheartedness. It's sending me into the times when I would be speaking to someone and they'd say, that I love this thing, or this, that, or I wish I could do that, or but I'm, but I'm really crummy at this sort of thing, and this, that. And I would always tell people, I said, no, you just, it's like the baby doesn't come out of mom and then pick up the keys to the Ferrari and start driving. It needs development, and how people can be block themselves with seriousness, and being overly serious. Sometimes people do that because they have rigid perimeters around their identity that they don't want to exceed. So apparently there's some kind of relationship in these topics with a type of porthole and a gateway and a change which is occurring, and definitely in the physical and spiritual respects. The first card out is the Nine of Spades fails. I'm not surprised. This card comes out basically in almost every reading I've been doing. or have done in at least the last month. Obviously, those readings are not up, but it's something that I keep seeing sometimes in a part of a reading where it comes out and I'm kind of confused. Even I think, what is the Nine of Spades doing here? And it's about it's got a waiting room energy, anticipation, a lot, kind of knowing that things are moving towards a point of significant and mysterious change and an inevitable. Almost like, I think, the feeling, that someone might get before they're getting married or about to go to school, start going to school, start taking classes on something, or go on a trip or something. And when you know that once it's an initiate, you know that once you start that, there's never, that's it. You're just moving, you're just cruising, you're in that energy completely, which I think is really positive. I know that a lot of people probably see the Nine of Spades fails and they, it can be, it can have some, worry in it. All the negative attributes that panic. I can't control what's going on. I don't really know what's going. Like all the kind of worrisome things, but it's not bringing that. It's just saying this is here, and it's emphasizing not getting attached to the way that things are in this moment. It also kind of takes the heat or kind of the aggressive energies that can come from that, kind of reduces that, because it gets you into a kind of acceptance and a detachment. There's a lot of relationship to Buddhist and Zen monk practices in this card, and lately that card has been I've been calling that card the Samurai King, which is in relationship to a story where about swords hanging over a bed, and when they're hanging from strings, and you never know when they're going to drop, which in some case, that would be really uncomfortable. So it is pointing at there's some amount of obvious discomfort, but it shows you how to become comfortable. It shows you in that, and it gives you a lot of potential to become more stable. as the runes have opened the energy, telling us about this. And so underneath Gar is the Ten of Spades Veils. So we're going from the Nine of Spades Veils to the Ten of Spades Veils. It was waited for, it was anticipated, and then it happened. Speared Gar. It happened. It's also pointing at the past. This. Where something happened that moved you forward and then eventually brought you to this moment here and now. But it's also telling us about the present energy, and then also just the present energies. So it went from the Nine of Spades Veils to the Ten of Spades Veils, so it is completed. Done. This is showing me the Akasha, and in the case of this reading, it would probably be speaking more of the Akasha of the individual, and also just the Akasha of our existence, and how there are a great many things that are completed and are going into a completion. The next card out is another 10 of diamonds. So we're now at this 10, and in the very center of all this porthole energy here, the rune that I pulled is Thorn. So Thorn is giving us the 10 of diamonds. Obviously, they're giving us the 10. Obviously, they are speaking about October, and this is pointing at what was given to me in the last reading that I did, which they did speak about October and the 10 gate, and it has been coming up. It's come up lately in quite a few readings. They're giving the 10. So that is definitely going to be an important time for sure. And they really emphasize between now and October. They're like, no, but now and all the way to October. So there's some kind of epoch that. So July, August, September, October. So that's 4 months. So these 4 months are important. And Witchcraft and the 2 of diamonds. So that's bringing us back to that Morton pestle, and I'm doing things, making things on your own for yourself. Having and that 2 of diamonds can speak of that. It brings in the values in your life, what you value. And I think what it's kind of saying is, when you make things by yourself, for yourself, it brings a sense of value in your life that you otherwise cannot get. Period. You cannot get this with with something that you did not make. It's something that comes only from what you made, what you chose. I'm getting gardening with that also. What you grew, which is just really care and love and excitement and enthusiasm and making and of course making your own food and things like this, and that can be difficult because if you're not in the practice of that, or you don't then you can make things that aren't that tasty, and it makes you feel bad, and you can lose your confidence, and you don't but there's a easy remedy for that called cooking shows, cookbooks, just getting inspired, tasting things. Oops, man, the spider just got an ant. Whoa, man, their system is gnarly. Oof. Yeah. Here's these really big cartoon ants here. And I've got the Nature Channel right here in front of me. It's great. The spider lassos, just goes whoosh and like lassos the ant, and then goes woo woo, like spinning all around it. Encasing it, packing their thing, paying zero attention. They got them tied up really fast. The natural world does not waste time. That's for sure. No, they're like watching the spider makes 90% of humanity look like unbelievably lazy and unintelligent and just ridiculous. He's got this thing nailed, and it's the size of it in comparison to the spider. I mean, it's like 3, it's like 2 weeks of groceries right there. They got it bagged. Only 1 second. How they get with that much loot, in one go. The spider is totally 2 of diamonds. Totally. They have that marking on their body. Some of them. And I think that's another good translation for the 2 of diamonds. So this like craft energy, making things, getting feeding yourself, making what you want to make. Just seeing, looking at vegetables, looking at fruits, looking at foods. Look at foods and let it inspire you. And you really don't need to know very much at all. You just kind of try stuff. You just kind of get, watch some cooking shows. Ask people. One thing I always did is I always would ask people how they make stuff, and talk to people about how their food and everything, and you automatically the other people will teach you. Yeah, they'll teach you, or do it with a friend. Mhm. I think the next 4 months is going to be good. I do. It's going to be good, but I think that maybe it's going to be really different for everybody, because this whole reading says everything about what you've already done. Everything. What you and it's like having done your homework. It's like having, it's like training, stretching, preparing, reading, working on your things, doing what you did, investing in your own value system. If you've done that, and and you have a soul and and a relationship with that, and that's contented, even if you don't have everything that you want. Or are still processing in these things, your spirit and your soul can be contented. Especially if you've done if you've made a lot of growth, and I think that the last big the gateway point that they're giving us with that was 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And how everyone's life changed. And I think about and try to remember and emotionally remember what was going on in the time periods before that. I try to see it, remember it, and it's good. It can show you it can show you a lot and teach you a lot about this moment. To meditate on that time period, it'll automatically kind of send you on a journey in your mind and in your feeling. It can bring up some stuff that you completely forgot, obviously, which is good, which is very favorable. Yeah. And it might pass you through some things that maybe in the moment aren't all, it's kind of, this is like, not the best thing. But it's good. It's good. you'd be you could have some pretty serious realizations, memories and stuff, and you'd be surprised how like you're over it in minutes, and then it's over. You're not. There's no, and sometimes that's all someone needs is just to kind of see it. And then also they realize how separate they are from that thing, and that they are not in that moment. They are not. That time is gone. It's a really good way to kind of focus what's real and not real. It's a good way to focus reality, because that you are not that is not occurring. You are not in that. People put a lot of weight in these things. Obviously, all of psychology, psychiatry is, one second that doesn't even exist anymore can destroy a person's life. But if that person evolves and it becomes balanced and healthy and more sensible, has some kind of, has accrued some kind of technique to ground and put those kind of things, take the steering wheel on that, because you're the one that's always driving the car. I used to, whenever I had friends or just people in general who maybe kind of lost it, they were having they lost it, and they're really seriously struggling psychologically, sometimes going into mental hospitals and stuff like this, or starting to take medications and things. And these doctors and stuff would be telling them, oh, you can slip at this, that. I don't want to get into the doctors or the medication. And I would tell them, and I can't even count. I can't even remember all the people and how many times I had to go through that. And they're like, oh, well, and I could have another episode and this, that. I said, no, you're not going to have another episode unless you decide you want to have one. Nothing else is in control of your mind except for you. I thought, and I realized that doctors and other things, just to be nice, were convincing these people who were already unstable that they were not in control of what was going on. And that these other these things that they were in control of were that is what had control, and which is obvious BS, you know. And brainwashing. And it makes people really irresponsible. It makes them more ill, is what it does. To go, you know, that it makes them less, and they don't feel like they have control. They're being told they don't have control. This, that, no, you know. Oh, it's like there's going to be some chemical blast in your mind, and then you're going to try to climb the Eiffel Tower. It's like, no. You're always in control. Always. You're always responsible for what you're doing. And I know that in some cases, like in legal cases and stuff, people would be like, oh, I was drunk, or I was high, and this, that, and so I would, you know, can't really be held totally responsible, or that my you know, client, they can't be held responsible completely for what happened, what was going on. And no. That is, and I've seen cases where they were making a concession, oh, they were drunk or they were high, and sort of letting them off the hook. And I was like, well, what? So if you're a junkie, you get off the hook. If you're an alcoholic, you get off. That all of a sudden, oh well, you know, that kind of thing, which is wrong and illegal. And I've seen people do it in courts. Oh well, this, and then they go, oh well, you know. But the fact is there was a moment when you weren't drunk. You decided to get drunk. And if you decide to get drunk and drive your car and kill people, then the fact that you were drunk shouldn't, you know, you were responsible for being drunk. Yeah. And not everybody that gets drunk decides to drive their car, you know, because that's really bad thing to do, for example. And you're responsible for all of it. And that's why people like drinking and drugs and things like this, because they think that it takes the responsibility away from them. That's why a lot of people take medications for psychopathic reasons. It's because it takes the they don't have to be, the medication's responsible, they're not responsible. So obviously this message is pointing at responsibility, and that I think is going to be a major topic in the next 4 months, and that is obviously going to come in a lot of different avenues for a lot of different people. There's no general message on that. I'd say if you've been really irresponsible in your life and you didn't change that, you just, you know, remain like that, then I would say in these next 4 months you know, you might be getting some serious slapping. Serious. Just serious. That you know. So I recommend trying to do your best and stop sinning now. I'm not the only one that says it. Don't make any karma. Stop sinning right now. And start this if you stop that, stop taking drugs, stop drinking alcohol, stop the sinning, stop the karma, if you stop now, then maybe it won't be so bad. But if you don't, then it's gonna be probably really serious for people that were really irresponsible these next 4 months. Really serious. And for people who chose to take responsibility or were striving towards responsibility, and who have walked in a responsible path and a true path, and see the value of the soul and value their soul, and are they're seeking. I think these next 4 months are going to be really favorable for those people, and I think that they'll also see some testing and challenging of what they have worked for, and that might feel like a shake-up for a second, or it might feel like a kind of woo, sometimes like people that sell, like where I live, where people sell products on the street. Or in like markets and stuff, or like people used to, or like if you were on the bus or the train, people come on the, come in and they demonstrate the quality of the thing by trying to annihilate it in front of everybody. Like if it's supposed to be like waterproof, then they like dump water all over it. If it's supposed to be rip-proof, then they just try to like rip it to shreds, and it doesn't work. Like to demonstrate that. That's what I'm getting with that. So it's like it's like, okay, are you waterproof? Let's stick. They put waterproof watches. That when they sell them, they have them in buckets of water, and they're ticking inside the buckets of water just so that everyone knows that it's waterproof. I always liked this. I always thought this was really entertaining. I was like, this is great salesmanship. Where I live is very famous for its salesmanship. And it deserves it, totally. The only thing is that a great deal of what people are selling is actual trash. It's like, it really will break and everything, But a poster covered, laminated, is going to be waterproof, There's some things, it is what it is, It's straight. Someone tried to sell me a little hand crank grinding machine thing for the kitchen that you put like onions, garlic, you hand grind it, so it's like a blender, but a hand blender, hand mixer, and he's like, look, no, it's really good. and he put some onions in there, and he immediately started to try to grind it, and it broke. And you wouldn't believe it. And I started laughing, and I was like, "See, I was like, look, it's broke. It broke. You tried to do it, and it broke." And he's like, "No, it's okay." Like he actually tried to try to move the sail. Even after that. No, I don't. It still works. It's just this one. I was like, oh my god. It really made me laugh. I was like, just relax. It's okay. I eventually started to make him laugh about it. I was like, it's okay. Like, don't worry. I'm gonna step away. We're gonna just forget about the fact that you just like blew the whole deal, and this piece of garbage just broke in your demonstration and screwed up your whole demonstration, and now it's proven to be absolute trash. Like, don't worry, we'll just forget about it right now. And this one you'll put aside, and you'll open up another one, and maybe you'll figure out some kind of grifting system to kind of lessen the pressure and make it seem like it's stronger than it is. Like put something in it that's a little more soft. Some extra cheating. I'm guilty. It's true. I'm guilty. I have assisted people, given people advice on how to further cheat. Usually, strangers. If they really made me laugh, and I thought it was like cartoon levels of cheating, I would give them an extra suggestion. I was like, you could do this, because really, in reality, it was a business tip. I would give business tips to people that I knew that were just outright cheating things. In my life, I did this. Eventually, I did stop doing this. I only did it in certain situations. And then eventually, I was like, I can't do it. I was like, actually, this is totally wrong. And I shouldn't give them any suggestions. In a way, I shouldn't give any suggestions that could be used in a wrong way, and I already know, and I like contribute to it, like take responsibility. I consciously thought about it. I was like, no, actually, no, I'm not going to give a business tip. No, I'm not going to give a tip or advice on these things, or maybe at all, ever, to anybody, really. Because they will apply it for bad reasons, or they use it to do something that I wouldn't do and wouldn't agree with. So I stopped that. I stopped. But I did give good tips to a lot of people, that worked. And sometimes it was experimental for me. Like I would give a tip to someone on what they were doing, and then they would try it, and it would work. And then they would tell me. They were like, your system worked. And they said not only did it work one time, it worked like 300 times. And and it didn't cost them any money, that tip, and made them a lot of money, and gave them lots of things, lots. And most often they, even though my tip gave them so much, they still were really miserly. And I would be lucky if I could even get so much as a cup of tea from them. That also might be something that's going to come up. People that just take, or they just take and benefit. This is a lot of people that do that, and they never, like, they just use everyone's just a stepping stone, and this and this and that, like they're not giving back. They're not appreciative. Maybe appreciation is going to be like, well, you benefited from this thing, and then you did, or this person gave you some incredible idea or showed you something that really helped you, and then you didn't care. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like an archetype. I don't know why that sounds really strange right now. It's because I'm channeling. It's like it's a typical story. It's like there's a moral story. It comes up a lot. It plays a lot in theater and like in the world of theater and in the world of moral tales and stories and real and not real, whatever. Or there's this thing. There's this. It's a specific story. That there's lots and lots and lots of versions of, and lots of things that have happened like that, or people that were just that really, because it's like kind of stealing that, and then people that were really stolen from. Whose ideas were stolen, whose formulas, whose designs, and everything were stolen from them. And people became really rich off these things, and then they were they were in total poverty and stuff like this, and their idea, their creation was worth like quadrillions, like Tesla, Nikola Tesla. There's lots of people like that. Who were in situations like that. People that did work and things like this, and then weren't paid and things, And Michael Jackson didn't pay Vincent Price for his work on Thriller. Maybe not everybody knows that. I think everybody should know that. And I'm a really big Michael Jackson fan. Grew up with Michael Jackson, as so many people did. And through all of his ages, people that were older than me grew up with him when he was still pretty much a kid in the Jackson 5. And then later on, it's like I said, so many generations of people grew up with him. And love him. But he had a really wild role in life, period. Needless to say, I think everyone can agree on that one. His role was very significant, and he had a really strange relationship with money. really in money power. He was a bit of an archangel, you know. He was a messiah. He was. I'm not going to get into it. I have gotten into it on one of our Christmas programs, which I don't think is up on the station right now. It was like a couple years ago. But anyways, I do love him. But when and I love Vincent Price. And when I heard Vincent Price talking about how he wasn't paid for Thriller, it really shook me, this fact, capital F fact. And I thought, why the hell would he do that? Why would he do that? Vincent Price, like an elder celebrity, you know, classic Hollywood figure, and really cool guy, and fun, everything, and like, you know, and and worked on lots of people's cool projects, stuff. He was really fun, that guy, and really nice. And he wasn't a jerk about money, you know, and this is that. And he was also terrible at dealing with money and making sure he got paid and stuff. He wouldn't use agents and things like this. And so he ran into some really big trouble because he was working all the time and people weren't paying him. So a lot of the stuff a lot of things you will see where Vincent Price is present, he didn't get paid a single penny for that. He was being, people just, show up for the filming, this, that, you know. And he loved to do these things. He loved to be a part of these things. And then he was always getting screwed with the money, and he was really financially struggling. You would think a person like that and of that high celebrity and how much he worked and stuff, he was like, you know, always working. And he did a lot, and he was an art dealer and curator, and he wrote cookbooks and stuff, and his recipes are fantastic. And really easy. And anyway, but he didn't get paid for Thriller, and he had a major chip on his shoulder about it, and he would bring it up on TV, on television, before the internet. Like, he would talk about it on TV, which then would have been a really big deal. And Michael Jackson was alive, and the fact is Michael Jackson never, ever, ever responded to this, which really blows my mind, and I can't understand it. You'd think, like, dude, it's like if you were like, it's like he intentionally was hurting him, offending him. Like, really, you know. And I think that it was a kind of, it's in some ways, I think that this was one of Michael Jackson's specialties, is he could offend, agitate. He could do really hard things to people, and it would impact them so seriously that they would have to change the thing. And I think that after Thriller, after he didn't get paid for Thriller, I think that Vincent Price started to become a little more rigid, or assertive. Make sure that, like, okay, well, you need to pay. It had who knows? Maybe he had a manager. One second. There's a fight over the bone. Okay, maybe the fight's over. Hush. So, anyways, see, picking a bone. Yeah. Oh yeah. And so it's. Anyways, I've thought about it a lot, and I'm gonna keep thinking about it and keep channeling it. It's something that bewilders me, this, because about Michael Jackson, because I think, well, he could have, like if I was Michael Jackson and Vincent Price is on TV and he's like, can you believe I didn't get paid for Thriller? And he didn't sue him, which he could have. He didn't do that. And it wasn't he wasn't, he was being really friendly. And Michael Jackson didn't. If I was Michael Jackson, I'd be like, man, I need to pay him. Maybe, like, it's because certainly maybe he was in some kind of private, wrong space or whatever. I mean, obviously Thriller was like, he was young and it was a major hit, and it's like a kind of it is a classic and American rock and roll, or whatever you can describe that music. Is not rock and roll. What is it? But it was historical, that, and the music video and Vincent Price and everything. But without Vincent Price, that song was nothing. That song is nothing without him. If I was, let's say, like, I'm the Akashic Angel in this one, I've already been putting time into this. I think, well, okay, whoever's got Michael Jackson's money, his children or whatever, he has children, his heirs. If I was Michael Jackson's heir, I would pay Vincent Price's heirs. I would just, contact them and say, like, we want to pay you for this. We couldn't, Michael, for some reason, couldn't pay him. Said, well, we're going to pay you. That's what I think would be the right thing to do. I'm just making an example here, guys. That's what I think the right thing to do would be. I completely 100% agree with it. And I discussed it with Vincent, this. He thought, yeah. I kind of, I sometimes have a hard time channeling in to Michael Jackson. There's something, I can't just reach him just any time, and really I don't, and I don't really want to. It's really too much energy for me sometimes. I can do it every once in a while. I can channel him. I love him, and I can channel him, but I don't try to. But I have thought about this case. That was my conclusion. Maybe there's going to be things like that happening in the next 4 months. maybe that is something that will happen. So, you heard it here. I hope so. I wish for it. I kind of thought it made me feel good when I thought, wow, that would be really good. And that kind of thing does happen. Where people, they feel like something wasn't right. It wasn't made right. People give property and stuff like that. They give it to people that got ancestors of people that got screwed, and then these other people inherit these buildings, and then they realize that 200 years ago, this all family who built this stuff, they all got kicked out of it, and they give it back to them. It happens. It's really, because they want to do it. They feel like it's the right thing to do. And I think that that's a right attitude. It's not greedy. It's full of soul and love, and it's nice. So that's the energy with that's the message. That's what we got with these cards and these runes, and I like that. And that's really good. I like all these messages, and let's see, bottom of the deck, 10 of hearts. So we got 3 tens on the ground with the Queen of Clubs clovers, guys. So that's crown on the ground with 3 tens, and it's the 10 of hearts. They are giving the tarot the 10 of cups. So we got 10, 10, 10, 10, and the Queen of Clubs clovers there. So she's kind of got a flower girl energy. She's very natural, very good. She has a good mind. She's responsible. She does the right thing. She does. With this 10 of hearts. So that's really nice. I love that. And that's for July, and it's already started, this energy, and will be continuing on for the next few months. I'm not the only one to say that. But some other energy people and astrology people, and it's kind of come up, all dotted here and there. It's kind of being confirmed and confirmed and confirmed that. So I reckon it's true. These 4 months. What are you gonna get? I feel the those machines in the midway, when you put a quarter in, like the arcade gaming machine, and the ones I used to like, the ones that had these plastic eggs, and you didn't know what was inside the egg, and you put the coin in, and the claw would go and take the plastic egg and then drop it in the thing, and then you open it and you see what you got. I loved those. I think that's the image for the next. That's the biggest image I'm getting for July and for the next 4 months to come. So I hope you get something good. Yeah. And if you don't feel like maybe if you don't feel too sure about things, then I encourage you to lean into that Vincent Price, Michael Jackson energy, and try to correct old things. You can always do that, and be responsible for yourself, and always know that you can do the right thing. So as always, it's my pleasure to read with you and for you. All the best, and thanks for listening. Have a good month, and next 4 months. I feel I need to wish you well. Yeah. And if it starts punching you, then you've got some good advice here. Yeah. There's a lot of good advice. There's a lot of nice people in the world right now who have lots of good techniques and stuff like this. And the best things are always the most simple. It's the truth. So, simplify. Simplify.
Darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood. And whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down must stand and face the hounds of hell and rot inside a corpse's shell. The foulest stenches in the air, the funk of 40,000 years, and grisly ghouls from every tomb are closing in to seal your doom. And though you fight to stay alive, your body starts to shiver, for no mere mortal can resist the evil of the thriller.
Thank you for calling Corno Control TV Radio and Radio for the Blind.